Hi, this is Vivian Howland from the Risk Solution Consulting team. You ever think about the amount of data that procurement teams need to effectively assess the risk and the performance of a vendor to make sure they're bringing the right parties to the table and not doing repeat business with either high risk or non-performing vendors? This is where the beauty of the platform comes in. So we can bring together a variety of data points to help you have the whole picture and make intelligent decisions. Right now I'm logged in as a vendor manager and I'm on the risk tab. As you can see here, I have some quick actions I can do to either create a vendor. This would actually allow them to get an invitation to our vendor portal. I can create engagements after I've assessed a vendor, and this could be for different services or projects. When I do create a vendor initially, I'll send a tiering assessment over to the internal business relationship owner so they can tell us how important this vendor is to them and what types of services they're offering and what types of data they're working with. And this will allow me to send the appropriate assessment, or maybe no assessment at all, out to the vendor. As the vendors start to fill out their assessments, if I as a vendor manager need more information or find some issues with things, I can create issues and tasks for vendors to provide feedback or documentation that I need to complete my assessment of them before I start to do business with them. So let's take a look at what we have on our home page for risk. And what we can see here is a list of our vendors by tier, the engagements and the risk ratings on those as well. We can take a look at our population of vendors by the vendor tier and the top risk areas. We can also look at issues specifically by priority and have them ranked here on the right. And we can provide questionnaires to those third parties to actually question their fourth parties and start to understand some supply chain issues and maybe some ESG numbers or statistics that we want to report on. I want to make sure that we are doing business with the correct parties for our organization that align with our values. So let's just drill in real quick to what this looks like from a vendor perspective. I'm going to go into my high-risk vendors, and we'll take a look at an example. So looking at Cloud MSP, this is a list of these high-risk vendors here. It's just a kind of a Rolodex or repository of your vendors. Clicking in, I'm going to open up a workspace where I can see some of the information specific to Cloud MSP. So this is going to drop me initially on an overview page so that we can see how they're scoring overall. And we can see the areas of risk that we've assessed and how these are rolling up using a scoring rule that I can build for each type of vendor that I'm doing business with. You can also see across the top, I've combined data across the platform for things like the service offerings that Cloud MSP provides. So this is a tie-in to our ITSM Pro suite. So sometimes we do vendors that have services, hardware, software, hosting. We can manage those things and tie SLAs and performance analytics around those, as well as assessments on how those are doing. So if we want our owners to assess these vendors and these services annually, we can get more of a picture of how they're doing. We can also see their service commitment. So this is where it ties back into the SLAs. So if we have downtime, outage records, incidents, that can count against the offerings that are available from Cloud MSP. And that might owe us, maybe some credits, maybe a better negotiation in the next contract renewal. And you can see also that we have ties into the assessments we looked at before. So this is our internal tiering assessment. This one was assigned to Adam so that he could tell us how important this vendor is to his organization and what they're doing. And then the external assessments out to the vendor. So you can see we have a security assessment, You can set up rules so that if the risk level changes, that a new assessment is sent out to the vendor. And of course, that initial vendor risk assessment. And the assessments themselves can be a combination of questionnaires and document requests based on what you need. So in this case, we have 3 questionnaires and 1 document request that are all part of my initial vendor risk assessment, which a vendor would go out to our portal to fill out. These are all configurable by you and bring in a rolled up risk score based on the answers to the questions. Now going back to our home page, we also have this tab for performance. So this is where you're going to have a roll up by not only those outage records and those SLA breaches, but we can tie these things into contracts and have reminders on contracts that are ending, or tie this into continuous improvement initiatives so that if there's some sort of mini project that needs to happen to improve the service from one of your vendors, you can create those right out of your vendor record. You can see we can trend these scores by time, so we can see how we're doing, and we can click into any one of those as applicable to get to the underlying data. We can use our assessment tool to ask the vendor relationship managers how they're performing. We can have the top ordered items from your vendors, and you can add these widgets as you see fit, maybe for like the top spend per vendor, or the lowest rated vendors, whatever it is that would help you make intelligent decisions. That's the beauty of the platform, is having all this data at your fingertips when you're back at the negotiation table. I hope this was helpful.